So if you have coffee part of your day every day or multiple times a day, consider what else is being sprayed on that bean that can affect your nervous system, your immune system, and how your body even breaks down those things. Hello, Dr. Lori here, author of the books Live Longer and Stronger with Breast Cancer and Cancer Doesn't Own You. Now, one question that comes up all the time when consulting with patients from all over the world is, can I drink coffee? And that's such a great question because that answer is very individualized. And I want to go through in this video the top 3 things that you need to know when it comes to cancer and having caffeine or coffee throughout the day. And here's the truth. When I first graduated naturopathic medical school, I used to tell everybody to avoid coffee and caffeine. I figured, it's very acidic. You'd be losing a lot of important minerals when you're drinking that. Too much magnesium loss can cause high blood pressure and diarrhea and just a whole cascade of other issues, increasing anxiety and possibly just make your nervous system a wreck. So since then, I've learned so much about who can tolerate caffeine for one, and who it can actually benefit versus other people who just need to stay away from it in general. Now, these rules apply whether you have a cancer diagnosis or not. The first important thing that you need to know is your specific genetic makeup. So some people are fast metabolizers of caffeine. So that means that they can have a cup of coffee and they feel fine, focused, energized, and then they can go to bed at night and sleep well. Whereas others are slow metabolizers of caffeine. And what happens is if you're not breaking up that caffeine very well, it's still circulating in your system, creating a higher cortisol response, stressing out your system, maybe causing more anxiety, you feel jittery, and then even 9 hours later, you're still feeling the effects. So you can't sleep at night, and then even the next day, you can feel more groggy and needing more caffeine. And you probably know this yourself, whether you have a cup of coffee and you feel those effects, or you know that you have to stay away from caffeine or have in very small amounts because genetically your body either loves it or it's something that it just doesn't know what to do with. So if you are a fast metabolizer of caffeine, then that's something having one a day is not a problem. It's not gonna put your system into overdrive or wreak havoc on your nervous system. Now, if you're a slow metabolizer, then you likely already are staying away from it, and this video may not be as applicable to you because you could care less about having caffeine. So if you love having coffee and caffeine, then genetically, we need to know if that is in line with your system or not. The second thing that's really important to consider is the state of your adrenal glands. Now, we all have 2 adrenal glands over top of each kidney that are about this size of a walnut, and they help your body get through stress. Every time that you have a cup of coffee or caffeine, you're stimulating those adrenals to release adrenaline and cortisol, and it gets you through the day, and it makes you feel just more energized. So if you are someone that is craving caffeine for that pick-me-up and you just feel like you can't wake up in the morning without it, or you get an afternoon slump where you're like, oh, I just need to have that coffee to get through that day, then you know that your adrenals need some major TLC. So instead of reaching for that cup of coffee, maybe think, maybe I'm doing too much. Maybe I need to take a 10-minute breather and relax and recharge in a different way. So caffeine is a really great way to get your body going, but if you're relying on it to actually get things accomplished and you wouldn't have energy without it, then that's the time to really consider other ways that you can support your body and your nervous system without depleting it. When I first had children, I was completely, I must say, addicted to caffeine. I wasn't sleeping through the night. I just felt, of course, waking up multiple times to feed my baby. And then throughout the day, having other children too to take care of. It was just a lot. So at that time, if I wasn't sleeping, I knew that that caffeine there was going to help me get through and not be such a zombie throughout the day. However, I would not recommend this to up your caffeine intake because your adrenals will be paying for it later. You think about a car that has no gas in it and you're constantly pushing that accelerator. Your body is telling you like it needs sleep. It needs to be fueled differently versus just like keep pushing that accelerator button to keep going. So highly consider that. How stressed is your life? Why are you reaching for the caffeine in the first place in the coffee? If it's something that you're just having, once in the day and you're just feeling it's like a nice treat and you enjoy it and it's something that is just a habit by now and it's just once or twice even, I wouldn't say that's much of a problem. It's when you start going into the second cup, the third cup, the fourth cup, and you're getting so much caffeine that you are just getting these dips as well, right? So if you're feeling like you're just completely addicted, that's where I say scale back, look at why you're feeling the need to have it, and try to cut back just to the once a day, and it should be completely fine. Now, the third thing that you need to consider, and I would say one of the most important things to consider, is where you get your coffee from. Now, coffee beans are extremely high in pesticides and glyphosates, herbicides, and they actually can be high in mold as well. So if you have coffee part of your day, every day or multiple times a day, consider what else is being sprayed on that bean that can affect your nervous system, your immune system, and how your body even breaks down those things. So genetically, if your body cannot break down caffeine well, it's possible that that same enzyme that breaks down that caffeine also affects how you break down other chemicals in the system. So if these things are recirculating, that can actually negatively impact your immune system and affect how your immune system fights cancer or abnormal cells. So the one-off coffee from whichever Starbucks or whatever coffee shop you're at, the one-off coffee is not a problem. It's when you're having things integrated every single day and that accumulated effect of what other toxicity or chemicals are combined with that coffee. So it's important to get ones that are organic, that aren't sprayed with chemicals and glyphosates, and also check for ones that are without mold. I'm not even sure if they put that on the label, but that's something important to look for. The other thing that I found was really interesting is one of my friends who's a medical doctor. Every time she drank coffee, she would get this extreme systemic reaction of a flare-up of arthritis. And she figured that is so strange. Why is this happening? And so she would try to go for the organic ones and she would try to cut back on coffee and just figure out what else is going on. She figured maybe it was because it's so acidic, so she tried putting baking soda in there and try to neutralize it with other things, but she kept getting that reaction until she discovered that some coffee beans actually have gluten on it. So you'll see on the package, it says gluten-free, and you think, okay, is that just a sales tactic? Is that just to build up the gluten-free lifestyle? It seemed very strange. But she investigated, and in certain coffee manufacturing companies, the conveyor belt, to make sure that the beans aren't sticking to the conveyor belt there, they would put on wheat and other flours to make it not stick. So I found that very interesting, that coffee beans can also be contaminated with gluten. So if you are gluten intolerant, that's a really important thing to notice and to say, okay, you can get gluten from so many different areas, and that may be affecting your system, causing more inflammation and creating various symptoms from pain to immune issues and even just hormonal imbalances as well. So take a look at the quality of your coffee bean. That is extremely important, going gluten-free, organic, without mold. And when it's the clean coffee bean, then it should be a lot safer. The other thing is if you're following a fasting lifestyle. So with cancer, we know that you want to have at least 13 hours at night without anything that's spiking your glucose or your insulin levels. So if you're having a coffee in the morning, just know that anything that you're adding to that coffee will break the fast. So anything from creamers to milk, even if it's dairy-free, lactose-free, anything that you're putting in that coffee that's not a fat will break the fast. So MCT oil likely will not break the fast. Same if you put in ghee or butter, something that's 100% just fat, likely will not break it, but I mean, everyone's so different, so you'd have to check what your glucose is before your coffee and then half an hour after. If it's spiking your blood sugar levels, then you know that that is essentially breaking your fast. So putting anything into your black coffee, you may want to wait until after that 13-hour fasting window. Then it should be fine. Otherwise, just to be safe, don't add anything to it. Just do straight up black coffee and you know that you'll be continuing your fast longer. So I hope you enjoyed this video and you learned the top 3 things that you need to consider after a cancer diagnosis, if coffee is okay for you or not. If you are interested in getting more videos just like this, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Then you can also get more information from my book, Cancer Doesn't Own You, which I'm giving away for free if you go to my website, drlori.ca.